No MVP for Big Purr coming anytime soon. I don't even think a one seed would help his case out too much. I think he needs a one seed, 8 more points, and about 3 more rebounds, and he'll probably be the number one.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's 17 rebounds a game. If he were to get that, I mean, damn.
Brother, there's a center averaging a triple double and people averaging over 30. We've seen
Yeah,
24.
facts.
You're averaging
Yeah.
24 points. You want the MVP? What is this, 85? No.
GMLB family, welcome back to another episode of Good Morning Let's Basketball. My name is Mike Miles, and these are my co-hosts, Victor, Kevin, and Daniel. We got a lot on the docket today, I'm not going to lie. But before we get into that, fellas, I have a question. I joined GMLB at 15 subscribers. Do I count as a founder?
Nope.
Yeah, it's
This is going to determine my free agency decision, by the way.
yeah, I'd say you're a founding father.
This is a conversation to have off of camera just because that's the way I do business.
Daniel.
I'm gonna go with no because I think the founding father was Victor. There's only one. It's not a Mount Rushmore. It's one founding father.
Okay, that's fair. You know what? That's fair.
Actually, now that I think
Okay.
about it, there
Now
can be
it's not
one
fair.
founding. No, hold on. There can be one founding father, but there can be a Mount Rushmore. This would be the Mount Rushmore right here. This group.
Okay, that's
I like
fair.
that.
Before we pass it off to the next generation when our children
Exactly.
take over. I do have an update as well. GMLB family, if you caught the last episode, we decided that we were going to start tracking Dorian Finney-Smith's three-point shooting as a Laker. And you know what? Our hypothesis that once you get to the Lakers, you shoot horrible, so far is true. I believe he was 43% on the season, came to the Lakers in 4 games, 33.3%. Trash. But anyway, topics today. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start off with how serious are the Knicks coming off one of their worst losses of the season, which we'll probably get into against the Orlando Magic at the time of this recording. Definitely a great topic. It's pretty hot right now. But after that, we're going to talk about how serious are the Clippers. We don't really know. Kawhi's returning. We're going to see how serious the Clippers are. Then after that, it's game time. Feel free to play along at home. We got which player would you rather have based off stats. Kevin brought players, and we're going to blindly pick which one we want on our team based solely off their stats. And after we pick, the players are going to be revealed. We got a couple rounds of that. As always, GMLB family, we do have our fan email as well. That is gmlbfans@gmail.com. If you're looking to email us, email the show. We read all emails on the show. We prefer to keep them basketball related, but they don't always have to be. You could always ask about our hosts as well. But let's get into topic one, fellas. I think I've wasted enough time here. Fellas, right before the NBA season kicked off, we were hit with a trade no one saw coming. The Knicks decided to blow up the Nova Knicks, sending Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle to the Timberwolves for Karl-Anthony Towns. Currently sitting at 24-12 and coming off a blowout loss to the Bulls and a loss to the Orlando Magic and a hard-fought loss to the Thunder, the Knicks' new starting five has seen their ups and downs. What is the ceiling for this team? Can they truly win a championship? Daniel, you're on the clock. Can this team win a championship? Start us off.
Can this team win a championship? I'm gonna go with yes, absolutely. I think that this team does have a very high ceiling, and I've been very adamant since the beginning or since this trade happened that I thought the New York Knicks were the winner of that trade. On paper, I mean, I think they're very dangerous. They obviously have some things to fix, but in my opinion, like you would have thought, or not you would have thought, but I definitely expected this team to be shooting well from three, and they are. I want to point out that the only player on their starting lineup is OG Anunoby that's not shooting above 37% from three. So this team's doing well. They probably need to. No, I wouldn't say they need to improve their shooting more to keep up with the likes of the Cavs and the Celtics, but mainly I think it's that defensive kind of matchup that they have to worry about when they get later on into the season. But they are contenders. I do think of them as a really good team. I think there's a few things to fix, but they're a really good team.
One thing I wanted to point out that you said on was you were saying that every starter is shooting above 36% from three. Every starter is also averaging 14 plus points per game. Josh Hart is the lowest at just barely like 14.1. So Thibs is using every starter for every minute possible right now.
One thing I wanted to touch on the offense too is I was kind of nervous if Jalen Brunson was going to be able to pick up where he left off. He definitely has been, averaging 25 and 8 assists this year. That's a 3-point scoring dip from last year, but they also added Cat, who's averaging 25 and 14 and having like his best season ever. But one thing I really like about this new Knicks team is they're just so much better having a stretch five like Cat instead of a stretch four like Julius Randle. The offense has opened up a lot more. Cat can move the ball so much better and does it so much more than Julius Randle. As you guys can see how he plays in the Minnesota Timberwolves and his whole entire career up until this point. Love Jay Randle, but they were going to win with him. They were good with him, but when you're able to get arguably the greatest shooting center of all time, it just does wonders for your offense. Everyone's still eating. He's boarding up good. I always kind of questions Cat's toughness and his rebounding ability, but he's proven me wrong. My expectations of the Knicks this season were a little high, but I just didn't know how I was going to work with Cat, and it's working pretty well. So happy for them. Glad New York wasn't just relevant for one NBA season.
I would like to get a Julius Randle ball after like a Timberwolves game because I bet the logo is half worn off. I bet the grip is gone. Like that dude just sits on the elbow and dribbles the hell out of the ball. But circling back to what you said, Victor, talking about the minutes. I brought some minute stats for us today, knowing a Tom Thibodeau coach team. Mikal Bridges currently number 1 in the league, 39 minutes a game. Bro, do you know how absurd that is? 39 minutes of the game you're playing. You're playing 40 minutes basically. Josh Hart, number 2, 38 minutes a game for Josh Hart. OG Anunoby, number 7. Like we got 3 guys. For a while, they were 1, 2, and 3 in minutes, which was crazy. They've also played the starters. This is 610 minutes together. No other lineup has even reached 420. So Thibs is playing the hell out of his team. And like we know, like every year someone goes down with an injury. Last year it was OG Anunoby, but now we're starting to see the effects because I don't think Cat is made for that type of lineup efficiency, that type of use, because we saw him go down late in the Bulls game. By the way, Derrick Rose flashback here goes down 123 to 138. A game that's over, like a fourth quarter game. Bulls pulled this out. But he goes down with a knee injury, and now they have to start Jericho Sims. Like, I feel like injury-wise, minutes-wise, this team is already falling apart. I appreciate how optimistic you guys are, but I don't think Cat especially is built for something like that.
Go
I'm
ahead,
glad you
Victor.
brought that up because that's something I was going to touch on is their roster really only uses an 8-man rotation right now, and that's similar to like how the Nuggets were in 2023. They're going as far as Precious, Campaign, Shamit, and then McBride. Once he comes back, he'll get back in. I think he's dealing with an ankle injury right now. But I'm interested to see once Mitchell Robinson comes back soon because they're saying he's going to be starting to get into practice and sometime in January. He hasn't set a timetable on that, but he'll be able to back up Cat and he'll be able to be a defensive anchor for that team. So I definitely think that's going to help them with their bench unit because right now the Knicks have the worst bench in the NBA, scoring 19.8 points per game and only get 11.8 minutes per game.
Oof. Oof.
I think the difference between what Thibs is doing and whether or not the Knicks can be good are like two different things because Thibs is like hell bent on overusing his players. And I know we've talked in length about how, use can possibly be the answer to staying healthy. But in this case, I just think it's too much. And I think that we know that it's too much. Like you said, Miles, like we can say all we want that this is a good team on paper and that they look like contenders, but when we get into those later part of the season, we'll see the negatives of playing your team like this, basically.
Yeah, just a quick rundown because I did take note of like all the injuries they had last year for a refresher in the playoffs. Josh Hart had that abdominal injury, if you guys remember that. I'm pretty sure he played through it. He didn't miss a game, but you could tell holding his abdominal area. OG Anunoby had the hamstring injury in Game 2 last year. Jalen Brunson broke his hand in Game 7 against the Pacers, and they also had no Randall or Robinson at the time. So like this team absolutely fell apart, and I'm not gonna say it's solely because of the minutes, but I mean, you just run your team into the ground playing like this. Um, I do think it speaks to why they went and got McHale. I think he fits the culture being the league's best Iron Man, but it's definitely concerning, in my opinion, the amount of minutes they play.
I will say, other than like OG, all of those injuries that happened were just like unfortunate events. Now, getting injured at any time, yeah, it's unfortunate, but like Josh Hart, when he got hurt, like he got like blindsided by like a screen or he like ran into something. I remember that was the injury. That just sucks. Same with Jalen Brunson, just took like a weird fall, a hard hit. And with Cat getting injured, it's weird because he's not even, I'm sure he plays a crap ton of minutes. I don't know the number off the top of my head. But those top two guys, Hart and Mikal Bridges, if one of them goes down, it's definitely going to sting a little bit. It's definitely their Iron Men. Both of them affect the game in a lot of positive ways.
Circling back, Daniel, talking about your shooting, I like that you brought that up. 39% as a team above the break threes. That's a great shooting percentage. Third in 3-point percentage, right? But guess what? They take one of the smallest amount of attempts in the entire league.
Hmm.
They're not a heavy 3-point shooting team. So you have all these great shooters, right? You have Campaign 41, Jalen Brunson 39, Josh Hart 37, Cat 44. You can go down the line. But if you're not taking the amount of attempts similar to, let's say, the Celtics, I don't think you can beat like it's just not a stat you can rely on. Like yes, you can be consistent shooters, but with like in the East, if you're playing the Cavs, if you're playing the Celtics, like you might get torched and you're just going to get shot out of the gym. So I did want to point that out because that is one caveat to their great team shooting. Um, but yeah, 23rd in 3-pointers made, 35 and
What
a half a game.
I think their ability to match up well defensively against teams like, say, the Celtics, also combined with what you said, which is that they're good at shooting, but they're not taking enough shots. When those two things get together, it's going to make for a really hard matchup for them. Yeah, I can see that coming.
I I honestly don't think that the Knicks are going to be that good of a matchup for the Celtics or the Cavs in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a tough series, no doubt. I think Celtics or Cavs push it to at least like 6, and I think they would win. Just because like the Knicks, they're not even that good of a rebounding team either. Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, you're going to guys against like that. You're gonna have two bigs. Um, Celtics, Kristaps Porzingis, Tatum, all great rebounders. Both those teams are really good defensively, especially like with the Cavs, man. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen down low, they have one of the best paint defenses in the NBA. And I know the Knicks, like you said, they're shooting it efficiently from behind the arc, but they're not taking as many threes. So some of those points are going to have to even out. And if they're going to have to drive, they're going to have to go up on either Mobley or Allen, and that's going to be a tough matchup.
The Thibs offense. He's not switching up for the modern NBA. But I definitely do like that point. They match up. They have a better chance at beating Cleveland than they do Boston because I think Boston can play like dog, but they can still shoot them out of the gym. Like Miles was saying earlier, I don't think Cleveland has that ability to shoot them out of the gym. Kind of just my perspective on that. But they are much better in the paint. So that could also be a difference maker right there.
And shout out a Tom Thibodeau team that's 14th in defense, but I believe they're top 5 in offense right now. That's a little bit of a reversal for the Tom Thibodeau offense there. Usually it's the other way around. And it's kind of weird being 14th in defense despite having
They have a
so
third.
many. Oh, they're third right now. So that they are top 5, but third is even crazier. Like you have all these insane wing defenders. Like you have the roster to play extremely confident defense, but I mean, they're just not they're not performing. I think they're just so focused on their offensive load. Like and playing
Yeah.
that many minutes, it's going to diminish your efficiency for sure.
I don't know the correct answer to this, but I would like to look at how many second chance points they give up to though. Like not being that great of a rebounding team, I can't imagine they probably do give up a lot of second chance points,
I
which also
believe
makes up a difference in a lot of games.
I think they are, but correct me if I'm wrong, Vic, but I think they are actually not a horrible
No.
rebounding team with Cat and Josh Hart being two of the best boarders in the league right now.
So I mean, well, I have the stat. They're 20th in the NBA, 43.2 rebounds per game.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then for Kevin asking about the second chance points, how many they get a game? They're 14th in the NBA, 13.8 per game.
That's how much they give up or get.
They get.
How
Are
much
you
do they
asking
give
for
up?
how much they give up? Ooh, I don't know if I can look that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wasn't sure because how much they get, that's just how much they're able to welly board on offense. I was talking
Mhm.
about on the opposite end. Don't know if anyone has that stat. Anyone in the comments, if you know it, if you think you know it, I doubt you do. Go ahead and drop it below. I'm curious.
I'll find it. I think you can find it on
Oh,
here.
here, yeah, I found it.
Board man gets paid.
They're third. They allow 12.2 opponent second chance points.
Third, like good third or bad third?
Third in the league. Because it says the Magic are number one with 10.9, and then the last is Washington Wizards with 16.5. I've never looked up this stat,
Well,
so
the more they
yeah,
give up, the worse.
yeah.
Yeah. But the difference from third to last, it's not even like that big. 12 to
Mhm.
16. It's kind of crazy. I expected like the most, like the Wizards to have like, well, if I was guessing, I'd guess like 65. But realistically, I'd say 20-ish.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, fellas. I don't believe in this team. I think they're a second round exit. Um, I don't think they click, like just eye test wise, as well as everyone insists they do. And an interesting trend that I've found during research on the Knicks is their opponents shoot really well against them from three. The Bulls 3-point percentage in their loss, 54% from three. The Thunder 52% the night before. Jazz 40%. Knicks are 23rd in opponent 3-point percentage. So the opponents shoot 37% from three as a team against them, which is 23rd. Pretty bad.
I, I know that's gonna be hard to like find, and probably it's gonna take too long to look. But I wonder who's giving up the most threes on that because I don't think it's Mikal. It might be Brunson or OG or maybe even Hart.
Well,
Because
I don't even if we could find the stat, this is like not like an individual
no, for sure.
thing. Like this is definitely like a team effort for a team to shoot that well against you. And of course, I just brought up some recent games where it was exemplified. Obviously, there's outliers where they stop the 3-point shot, but I just think that's notable because like we talked about before, you're going up against the Celtics and Cavs. Like this team will shoot you out of the gym if you let them. So you can't shoot to keep up. You can't guard the three. How do you win? Like, how do you win the basketball game? You just hope the other team misses at that point. So I don't know. I know there's a lot more to it, but in an NBA where you're so focused on 3-point shooting, it's a glaring stat to me. It's something that I think can really hurt them in the playoffs. But let's move into Cat. Cat's recently been on the MVP ladder. Fellas, Kevin, what do you think about Karl-Anthony Towns this season? You think he's legit, or you think he's a fraud?
I want to say he's what ranked currently? Seventh on the MVP ladder.
Seventh on the MVP ladder currently.
Right. So I don't really think he has a chance to win MVP just because of first off how great the league is. I mean, I think the top three it's pretty locked in. And I feel like the top three has been pretty locked in all the way dating back to week one of last season. To be honest, it's going to be hard to shake up that top three. I know Tatum found his name in there for some weeks, which was good to see, getting
Mhm.
his respect. But it's just the league right now. I don't think it was built for Karl-Anthony Towns to win an MVP award. He's playing great. I mean, it seems like every other day I look on Instagram, he has a 30 and 20 game, which is awesome. I know he's had a couple this season, but as far as winning an MVP award, I want to say I know Jalen Brunson's name is also kind of floating around that area too as well. But as far as like an MVP of the league, I'm not buying it, cuz.
Yeah,
What do you
I'm
guys
gonna
think?
I'm gonna go with the same. I don't think he's and I don't want to go as far as to say that he's like not playing well enough to be an MVP, but I don't think he's made like do you guys feel like he's elevated his game since he was on the Timberwolves?
100%. Yeah.
I don't.
I think he's even having his highest efficiency season too.
I don't. Yeah, I
But like
mean,
by how much too? You know what I mean?
this is definitely a top two season for him. I think 2021 was his
Yeah.
like power season.
Hmm.
So if you want to put that season above this one, obviously this season isn't over as well. Like, I would hate to see it, but injuries can happen. We just saw him get injured against the Magic. So depending on how the season plays out, if he can maintain this level of play, this is easily one of his best seasons. Well, this is easily probably his best season.
And to me, like, it's cool and all, I guess, to say that it's his best season, but is it the best season played by the best player in the league at the time? And I don't think necessarily it is. I think Cat can be having a standout year. And he's obviously, like I said, the Knicks are the winner of that trade and he's fitting in somewhat well, but I don't think he's an MVP. I don't think he's the most valuable player in the league when I boil it down.
I mean, that's a good point. I do agree with that. I think the thing that would help Cat's case a lot and help him move up the ladder is if the Knicks were a higher seed. But ahead of them are the Celtics and the Cavs. It's going to be tough to catch up to those teams. And I personally don't think that they can do that. But regardless, Cat is having a hell of a season. Brunson's really doing good too. He's somewhere in the top 10 as well for MVP voting, but this is just not his year for MVP.
Yeah, no MVP for Big Purr coming anytime soon. I don't even think a one seed would help his case out too much. I think he needs a one seed, 8 more points, and about 3 more rebounds, and he'll probably be the number one.
Wow. I mean, that's 17 rebounds a game. If he were to get that, I mean, damn.
Brother, there's a center averaging a triple double and people averaging over 30. We've seen
Yeah,
24.
facts.
You're averaging
Yeah.
24 points. You want the MVP? What is this, 85? No.
No,
I
you're so
will,
right, man.
Let me drop an angle on you guys. So we saw that the Knicks are third in offense, 14th in defense. How much is that due to Cat just not being a rim protector? How much do you think that's his fault? He doesn't even average one block a game at 7 feet tall. I just want to throw that out there. I know that doesn't tell the whole story, but
We'll get late.
we know he's not the greatest drop coverage guy. Shout out Hoop Venue. Bro's very passionate on that take. But I mean, how much is it due to him? You can't protect the rim. So, and you can't protect the three either based on the stats. So, what exactly is it Cat's fault? Are they blending him in a pick and roll?
Well, I mean, he doesn't move the quickest. If you see, like, his back doesn't, I've said this before numerous times, his back doesn't bend when he runs. Like, he can't really squat his knees or like move his back too much. Pause. That's a big part of it. Like, the dude's hurting. He's in pain. You can tell. I know when someone's hooping hurt, especially with the hurt back. It's pretty easy to tell, and it's Cat.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Cat, like Kevin said, just doesn't fit as well as maybe we'd want him to in the current NBA. And
I didn't
which,
say that.
well, yeah, can you
When
say? Sorry,
did I
yeah.
say that? That's not what I said.
You're right. That's not exactly what you said.
Not at all
But-
what I said.
But what did you say then? Because you know what I'm referencing. But
Bro,
what
what
did
do
you
you
say
mean?
then?
Were you listening? What do you mean? What
Were
did
you
he
listening?
say? He already
You
said
said-
it.
I
Just
thought I
go off.
did.
Just go off. Just go off. Get your take off.
Well, I don't know. I guess like yeah, I guess I would say that Cat doesn't fit as well today to me in the modern NBA as like a reliable big man. Like I do think that when he goes up against matchups like Wemby or Jokic or someone like that, and I've seen people talk about it. He doesn't adjust well to matchups like that, especially like if he's getting beat. So to me, he offers you a lot of things, and I know that Cat obviously is a really good center, but I think that competitively in the long term, to answer your question, Miles, I do think that he does kind of have an effect on that and like the team's ability to properly be good, basically.
What about okay? So you named the only thing I have to say is you named Wemby and Jokic, the two probably hardest matchups any center can go against. What's he look like against like Clint Capella? Is it still tough? I mean, obviously it's easier, but
I mean, I think it should like I don't know. The thing
I'll
is that
say
oh, go ahead, Kevin.
iHeart gave him problems in the Thunder game too.
iHeart's the man. I love iHeart. Dude gets his hand on every single shot that goes up. But to Daniel's logic that he just said, I mean, Thor whoops ass in the MCU until he faces Thanos. He didn't look like the man then. You did compare him to like the most generational talent we've ever seen
Well,
and
okay,
the most
'cause
skilled big man we've
A,
ever
a
seen.
probably
we can go-
four-time MVP
we can
and
go-
literally 7
we
foot
can
4
go-
guard.
I guess my point is that when we're on the topic of MVP, we're talking about most valuable players that give their team a chance at winning it all. And when you think of guys like Wemby and you think of guys like Jokic, and we can run through the line of centers that match up against, you know, against him, Embiid, all of them, he's not as good as them. So like when it comes again, when we bring it back to the MVP conversation, that's why I bring it up is because I'm like, Cat isn't better than those guys, and Cat regularly can't like match up well against them. So like that's not an
Okay.
MVP candidate to me.
Good
Is
point.
Cat better? Is Wemby's already better than Cat?
Yeah,
No.
I say yeah.
Like as a player and like future potential, yeah, but like not obviously.
I say right
I
now, yeah.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he
I
is.
think he is. Dude's
I don't know.
Honestly.
Yeah, he is, but like right now, is he will he be better? Yeah. But like at this like very, very moment, I don't know. I think it's like close.
I
That
know
was
this is
gonna-
just
oh,
like
sorry, go
DraftKings odds, but Wemby is 5th in MVP voting right now. So technically,
Yeah,
by
but,
the
like-
numbers, he is better.
It's so
Dude.
ridiculous.
He is constantly putting up like 5+ blocks a game, combined with like 24+ points and 10+ rebounds. He's insane.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the difference between the defensive difference between those guys is as different as the color of your shirt to your wall. I mean, like, I'm not arguing that. But like offensively, like if Cat could put the ball between his legs and behind the back and shot a three, people would be saying the same. No, they wouldn't, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I will say, Kevin, I believe it was you that called him the greatest big man shooter of all time. I agree with that take. I don't know how people could argue it. This season, 44% from three, that's the highest of his career. 48 on catch and shoot. Second highest scoring season, besides 2020 at 25 points, and highest rebounds per game at 14. So, GMLB family, let us know if you think Karl-Anthony Towns is truly an MVP candidate. Where he ranks among like players. Like, is he top 15 this year? Top 20? Where would you put him? But fellas, anything else on the Knicks? Let's go one by one. Do we think they're contenders in a simple yes, no? Daniel,
No.
Vic,
No.
Kev?
Yeah.
I'm going to go no. So we got 3 no's and a yes. Kevin, we'll see you in a hot take video if we're all wrong. we'll give you your flowers in a later episode if they somehow pull out the championship.
I got a track record. Just know that, fellas.
Hey,
Sure he does.
you didn't call Jaylen Brown Finals MVP. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I've never
You also didn't
s-
call Evan Mobley All-Star this year.
That hasn't happened yet, and
Yeah.
I'd never dare say something as stupid
Oh,
as Jaylen
okay.
Brown.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Even though
Yeah.
he did get it.
Yeah. I said Mobley's not an all-star because he's not yet.
That's fair.
So bite your tongue on that one for now.
Okay. Thanks for giving me another clip to throw in when we return to our all-star picks this year.
You'll do what you're told.
All right, fellas, let's move on. Fellas, moving in to our second topic for today. With the return of Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers are coming off a 26-point win against the Atlanta Hawks at the time of recording this podcast, with a breakout performance from Amir Coffey and other contributing role players, and the Clippers finally being fully healthy for the first season in the Intuit Dome. Are the Clippers serious threats in the West? Has this team created a new culture post Paul George? Victor, what do you think?
As you can see, I'm wearing the board man gets paid. I do believe the Clippers created a new culture without PG. Norman Powell said it best, addition by subtraction. Jeff Van Gundy was added to the coaching staff. The whole team seemed to have gotten better with getting rid of Paul George. Norman Powell is having a career year, went from 14 to 23 points per game, almost a 10-point increase. Zubac is having a great year. Love the pick and roll with him and Harden. Harden really unlocked Zubac this year, I feel like. And we were talking about how the Clippers have an underrated bench, like pre-pod when we were planning this one out. And with Kawhi back, I think that forces Derrick Jones Jr. to come off the bench. And once Kawhi gets adjusted back from injury, I expect him to have like a slow start to the season, and then he'll get back to normal. But where I was getting with that, with their bench depth, was Derrick Jones Jr. coming off the bench is going to help them, the Clippers, a lot, because he's going to bring a lot of that energy coming off the bench with his athleticism, and he has great perimeter defense as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I have a note on him. This guy was the go-to stopper in the finals last year. In the finals, this guy was stopping the best player on, I wouldn't say stopping. I mean, he had to guard Jason Tatum, but this was the guy they put on the best player in the finals. He's a big reason they got there. And he's shooting the best from three in his career at 35%. Bro's only improving, and that he's just chilling on the bench now. That's depth. Definition of depth, but go on. Go on, Daniel and Kevin.
I'll say one of the reasons that they look the way that they do and I see positive things coming is because for the first time in the Kawhi LA era, the team finally looks like they have chemistry for once. Instead of front loading with a bunch of has-beens, they've actually have a lot of young athletic talent, and they're finally utilizing it. Because, like you mentioned, I know you had some notes on DJJ. Great pickup for them. I mean, great defender, lob threat, can give you a three-pointer here and there. They've also given a chance to a lot of players I felt like got written off the past year or two, such as DJJ, KPJ, Chris Dunn, Kai Jones, fresh out of rehab. I'm not lying. I like where the team's going.
Daniel, what do you think? Do you think the Clippers are threats?
I mean, yeah, I think, yeah. Okay, I want to say two things. Yes, I do think that the Clippers are a threat. I also am sort of a Paul George hater, and I never quite figured out why I'm a Paul George hater, but honestly, like, yeah, him leaving was probably one of the best things that could have happened for that organization. Like Kevin said, um, you know, younger guys are doing really well on that team, and they're coming into their own. Shout out Kevin Porter Jr. I know he's been playing a lot of like defensive minutes. They've been taught, I don't know, like apparently Clippers have been bringing him in defensive situations more and more just to kind of combat that James Harden issue of him basically just sitting down on his lap um, whenever he has to defend the ball. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the Clippers had just like a really good situation to pan out this season. Obviously, the Kawhi injury wasn't intentional, but it did allow for guys like just other guys to come off the bench and basically show that they can be reliable. Guys like Terrence Mann, guys like Amir Coffey, all are somewhat players that they can go to now that Kawhi is back and they're able to kind of have that deeper bench. So this team honestly to me got better, a lot better.
They
One
did
thing,
just get Terrence Mann back from injury as well. Go ahead, Vic.
yeah, one thing I wanted to add about like your Kevin Porter Jr. thing, I wanted to say like him on Houston, he was shooting 36% from three, and he dropped to 24% this season. I would love to see him get back to that 36% if he can, because Clippers right now, they're 16th in the NBA with a 3-point percentage. And if they could get better shooting, I think that would help them out a lot, especially going against some of the teams in the West.
I'm gonna be honest. Can we stop talking about Kevin Porter Jr.? Why are we hyping this guy up? He's not good. He's not good. Have you guys
I
watched this dude like play? He just shoots whatever he wants. He
I think
literally
it's
just ISOs every time he gets the ball.
yeah.
He's not good.
My point that I kind of took out with Kevin Porter Jr. was that I like that Ty Lue is basically incorporating more people into that offense as
That's true.
opposed to like Thibs, who is running everyone into the ground. And it does pay off. Clippers in those situations, you do have a fresher player coming in and being able to guard the ball just slightly more efficient. So yeah, that's kind of why I brought Kevin Porter Jr. up. It's not because I'm
No, that's
giving
fair.
him his flowers or anything. It's just because,
He
it is
is,
we're
yeah.
talking about depth, and he
Mhm.
is part of that.
He is a player of all time. I'll give you that.
I'm gonna give some ups to James Harden too. Even at 35, the dude is still able to play some ball. His shooting has been pretty inefficient this year, but at the end of the day, like it's still James Harden. Teams are still gonna respect him and still have to guard up on him. He's gonna give you a consistent 20 and 9, and I think he's gonna continue doing that for the rest of his career, however long that is. So big ups to James Harden. A reason that they have a winning record currently right now when they were Kawhi-less is because he's very good at creating shots. We know James Harden, but he's also right now even better at creating shots for his teammates. And
Mm.
him being there, like I think I want to say he's matured a little bit. I'm happy with Harden. I give him a gold star.
Yeah, one thing about Harden, just while we're on him, he's taken 5 more shots a game this year, and that's probably he went from 11 shots last year to 16 this year in field goal attempts, and that's probably because Kawhi's gone, so someone has to shoot it. If it isn't Norman Powell, it's probably going to be him. But like you said, despite that, he's still averaging 9 assists. So I think with Kawhi coming back, Harden can sit right into that full-time playmaking role because the Clippers are 24th in assists per game, so they really need the creation. It's a lot of like iso ball, like Victor mentioned. It's a lot of Zubac's Harden pick and roll. Um, so I think just with Kawhi coming back, it lets Harden create more. And I think at this point in his career, he's almost a better passer than he is a scorer. I know he's been torching this season, but just like the last few seasons. So I think he could really get them going in that department, taking the second seed.
One thing I really like about this team is that their identity is defense. And with Ty Lue bringing in Jeff Van Gundy, we've seen that defense do wonders for them. I think they're top 5 in defense right now. And I think Ty Lue was saying that Jeff Van Gundy, he'll get like frustrated if they mess up some defensive like rotations or anything like that, and to a point where he can't sleep at night. So I think that's hilarious.
I did pull this. The lineup of Harden, Powell, Dunn, Zubats, and Jones Jr. have a defensive rating of 101.7. And that doesn't mean much without this context. That's fifth in the league among all lineups that played over 100 minutes. So they have the fifth best defensive lineup. And there's like teams can have, 8 different lineups. So for top 5 in defensive lineups for the Clippers, a team who like hasn't had a defensive identity but outside of Kawhi and PG. I mean, this year they've stepped it up. They've stepped it up. So I definitely agree with that take.
Big Zoo's a top 5 center in the league. That was all I wanted to say.
Hey, he has helped me so much with my fantasy team. He was a sleeper pick. I am glad bro's doing good.
Yeah. He's definitely having his best season. I know he was going absolutely nuts towards the beginning with like 20 rebound games and stuff.
Yeah.
That was fun to see. I feel like he's just a good guy. I watched him on PG's pod. He's a good guy. He's got a big heart.
A lot of praise from Pat Bev too. Pat Bev said he was like, "Man, y'all don't know about Big Zoo. He's really like that. He's top 3. He said Pat Bev said he was top 3 in the league.
I forgot about that.
He's like he top 5. No, actually he top 3, and I was like, whoa. I love Big Zoo. I almost love him more than Big Val, but
Big
top 3 is a
Val.
little crazy.
What do you think about Big
Valanciunas.
Nurk? You like Nurk?
I like
Nurk is
Nurkic.
awful. Nurk is so bad. He was so solid on Portland, but dude on Phoenix, oh my God. It's painful.
Dude, he started lagging right when he said that. Oh, but yeah. Again, while we're on the topic of defense, I'll throw this at you now. 16th in defensive rating last year, 4th this year. 6th in opponent turnovers, 2nd in drawing fouls. The aggressiveness, man. Watching this team, these dudes are aggressive. And I cannot believe we've gone this whole topic without mentioning Chris Dunn, who's like arguably one of the best. Well, he is one of the best, arguably the best guard defender on the team. Probably is, honestly. Shout out Chris Dunn. Revived his career, it seems like. Former Bull for you three,
Still what I
Bulls
said
fans.
I said it earlier, but I think I was lagging pretty bad. But they have some guys that are performing that were written off. One of them being Chris Dunn. Fresh with the bald head in LA.
There was a time where they had Chris Dunn, Kai Jones, and Nick Batum on the floor at the same time. And Nick Batum had like a fresh haircut, bro. I've never seen 3 bald dudes on the court at the same time in the modern NBA. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
They probably had like some stupid stat muse or something like that. Best 3-man bald lineup or something like that.
Here's a question. Do you guys see any weaknesses on this team by any chance? Well, obviously there's weaknesses, but what's the biggest weakness that you guys see in like a playoff matchup?
Kawhi's health. It's
Yeah.
a basic answer, but like, dude, it's so inevitable.
I was gonna say the same thing. Health, whether that's James Harden or even Norman Powell in a situation, or Zubac, whoever. If someone goes down, that's a big deal, obviously. So I'm just gonna say injury.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm just curious to see how the offense is going to be once Kawhi comes back, because Norman Powell's killing it right now. That's obviously going to take away from some of his usage. How Ty Lue's going to incorporate Kawhi back into that offense with this new Clippers team. I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out.
Yeah. I don't have anything like too glaring, but the one thing I do have is their center depth. Outside of Zubats, it's our boy Mo Bamba. So there's 2 centers on the roster, and one of them is Mo Bamba. And like, we got flamed for hating on Mo Bamba. What was that, like 2 years ago? First season of the pod. Daniel called him Dikembe Mutombo on accident back then. Gave him absolutely no respect. So I will give him his flowers this time. GMLB patented moment of flowers to Mo Bamba, but this team needs more depth at the center position.
Yeah. I mean, he DNP'd last game. He can't get in. He can't get 1 minute. He sucks.
I don't understand. He's been in that kind of position for years. And I'm not trying to start a Mo Bamba topic, but like, like he's just been somehow like moving his way from team to team. I don't know. It's weird.
What have you guys thought, as we're wrapping up here, what have you guys thought of Kawhi Leonard's return so far? Because in 2 games, I think bro has looked extremely smooth. It's almost like I don't see missing athleticism. And he was like 4 for 4 in his first 4 shots. That could be wrong. I know he hit 3 threes the last 2 games, but I mean, I think he looks fine. Like I don't see a problem with him. The way he moves. He was getting deflections on the defensive end in his first game back. Like I really have high hopes for him coming back when I initially didn't.
You can tell how much he missed the game and how passionate he was. I think Ty Lue talked about it a lot, that he was in almost tears a couple times talking to him over the phone about how he wants to come back. So I think you just have to give Kawhi some time. They're easing him back into minutes right now. He only played like 20 minutes both games. So as soon as he gets back to his regular minutes, you're gonna start seeing Kawhi play like his old self again. There's no doubt. One of the best players in the league when healthy.
Yeah, I think this next transition, going into the All-Star break, I think that it's gonna go seamlessly. I think that this Clippers team is honestly gonna do really well this season. I don't know. I don't have much to say other than I think Kawhi's going to fit really well in. And like I said earlier, um, I think that while this wasn't an unfortunate amount of time that he spent away from the team, I think that it really worked out for the best. He's going into this, second part of the season. He's got some time to get himself healthy, and the Clippers are playing well. I mean, for them to be, you said Miles fifth defensively, right?
They are fourth.
Fourth defensively in the league without Kawhi, adding him back into the mix. I think that this team has everything that they need to be a weapon. So I'm hoping it turns out well.
I think Kawhi keeping his moves pretty simple. A simple jab step, 2 dribbles to the left, pull up jumper would definitely help him out a lot. Just hopefully he can keep that knee healthy, and I could see this team succeeding. So
Beautiful.
Kawhi, just please stay on the court. It's better for the world. It's better for basketball. Ratings are about to shoot up. You heard it here.
All right, fellas. It's a game time. We ready for some games? Let's
Yeah.
do it.
GMLB Squadron, before we close out today's episode, we have a little bit of a game for you guys. I have a list of players. Miles, Victor, and Daniel are going to have to pick which player they would rather have solely based off of their stats. So let's get into it. Player A, 22.7 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2 assists, 49.4% from the field goal, 34.8% from 3. Write it down, take a picture, don't matter. Player B is putting up 24.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 45.2% from the field, 32.7% from 3. Fellas, are we picking player A or player B?
Ooh, okay. This is interesting. So are these both like forwards, it looks like?
Dude, I
So-
think
I bet one of these is Jalen Johnson. Kevin loves Jalen Johnson.
yeah. I bet you I
You think
bet you
player B
No,
or player A?
I was gonna say player A maybe. Or one of them's Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, that's interesting. Bro didn't bring the fun stats. I thought we were gonna get some fun stats today.
I ran out of time.
I'm gonna go player B, shooting better from wait, actually sorry.
Yeah, well, hold on. Step back.
I meant player A. He's shooting slightly better, a little bit less on the points and the rebounds, but I'm gonna take that shooting percentage a little bit better.
I feel like he wants us to pick player A because player A has more points. Or I'm sorry, player A has less points, less boards, less assists, but has way higher percentages. I'm going to go with player B, I think.
I'm going with player B too. I had a long time to think about it.
All right. So, Victor, the player you have decided to keep, one of your guesses was right. Jaren Jackson Jr. was player A. Miles and Daniel, the player you guys decided to keep was player B. That is Joel Embiid.
I'll take that. If healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this isn't the
It's a
season
massive
we want.
if.
Yeah, we don't want to see what's happened this season, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is also having an incredible season, but
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
I'm not really too mad. I'm not too mad. Shout out Vic though for pulling JJJ. That's crazy.
I just know his rebounds are not that high for a forward.
Round 2. Player A is 24 points, 7.6 rebounds, 8.9 assists, 50% from the field, and 38.9% from three.
Ooh.
Player B, 29 points, 8.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 49.5% from the field, 34% from three.
These are interesting.
29 point. I feel like I know who player B is. That's not like Tatum, is it? Tatum, I feel like, is shooting better from three, though.
Honestly, that might be Tatum, man. That
34 seems low for a guy who's top 10 in threes made. But I guess it is his
trucking
percent.
him up. I think player A might be Donovan Mitchell. But actually, no, I take that back.
I have a strong feeling that player B is Jason Tatum, so I'm gonna go with player B as a Celtics fan. Not a lot of players you can get who are better than Tatum. If I'm wrong, then sue me.
I'm gonna go with player B as well. They're averaging more points, and the shooting is not that much of a difference.
I think I'm going to go player A. I'm kind of on the same boat with Victor. If this is Donovan Mitchell, that would be...
It's not. Trust me, it's not.
Well, even so, 38.9% is good from three, 50% from the field. I like my choice. I'm going with A.
Oh, got his leg up.
All right. So that was Victor and Daniel with player A, right?
Me and Vic went B, Daniel went A.
Okay. So Daniel, the player you decided to keep was LeBron James.
Trash.
The GOAT.
And player B, the player you guys decided to keep was Paolo Banchero.
Ah.
You know what was
I
weird?
like that.
I was gonna say player A was Franz. But
Paolo's averaging, I know he's been hurt, but 29? That 50-point game must have boosted him hella.
That 50. Yeah, it did.
he's coming back this week. I'm excited.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing Anthony Black brick threes for the Magic. Shout out Tristan Da Silva, though. Rookie of the year in my book.
Beast.
Yeah, that's interesting. 29 points. I would have never guessed Paolo for that. And LeBron 38 or 39% after that like horrible stint he had where he was like 0 for 12. Wow.
Dude, yeah.
GMLB family, thank you again for showing up and showing out for the Good Morning Let's Basketball podcast. We did want to mention we have set a subscriber goal this year. Forgot to say it in the intro. Victor, please don't kill me during the edit. We are looking, our official goal for 2025 is 6,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We want to double the channel and have an extra 1,000 to go along with it. GMLB family, we need your help to get there. We're trying to grow our podcast. We're trying to develop relationships with our fans. Show out in the comments for us. We reply to most comments. Don't hate or you might get cooked by Kevin. Kevin does like to reply to comments, the Kevin Durant of the Good Morning Let's Basketball podcast. But everyone, if you want to contact us, we do have our email, gmlbfans@gmail.com. That's the number one way for us to answer all of your questions. You get an answer from all four of us live on the show. We respond to all emails, and we will talk your email on the show if we see fit, which is about 90% of the time because we don't get an influx of emails. But finally, GMLB family, we do have our socials. If you want to see clips from the podcast, we are on Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. If you want to see the full podcast as an audio experience, we are on Apple Podcast and Spotify. I'm losing my breath from yapping. Fellas, what does the rest of the week look like for you guys before we get out of here? Anything fun going on?
Not this week, but next week. I know I'm going to a Bulls game. Bulls versus
Who are they
Hornets.
playing? Bulls, Hornets.
Yeah.
Might throw something on the grill for that one. That's still sick, though. Daniel, what you got?
School is starting back up, and your boy is headed back to this library, headed back to the books.
Kev?
Might go catch my boy Steph in Indianapolis this weekend because why not?
That's
Big
tough.
if. We'll see.
And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm shoveling snow. I got an OG Mudbone amount of snow. That's 15 inches. GMLB family, we appreciate you being here. And with that being said, we're out of here. Peace.